So I'm just putting my thermostat up a bit because, you know, it's getting cold out. It's nearly November 2024. Here we are. This is the cheap piece of Wi-Fi crap thermostat that we've got. To be fair, we don't have any money for anything else, so this is what we got. Every time I put it up half a degree, or a degree or whatever, it decides it will put the base temperature up that it thinks the room's at by half a degree for some reason. So then you've got to put it up a couple more bits so as it actually comes on. Anyway, we just had something done by some tradesmen. I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm going to talk about the other episode that's quite funny that I had done by tradesmen. So I have always had a trouble with thermostats. And it's hard to get one to work, it seems, for no apparent reason. So I decided I'd buy a thermostat that was decent and then properly install it, you know. This meant getting a 4-core cable from here through to the boiler, which is in the cupboard over there. I'll just go through to the boiler. It's buried in there somewhere. You can see the blue light. Okay. It means putting a cable underneath a laminate floor and stuff. It's quite hard to do, but anyway, I did it. 4-core cable. You can't do it 3-core unless you put 2 3-cores together. So this thing, really good. And I decided to do it separately, a separate thermostat and a module, control module. And they're both really good and they work pretty well. And instead of having to get up all the time and flick it off, like I've seen new houses where people say, oh, it's too warm now, can you go and turn the thermostat off? And they do that as though it's normal. Normal is when you don't have to keep getting up to turn the thermostat off. It's meant to do it. Okay, so cut a long story short, a guy came in to do a replacement boiler or to fix it, whatever he was doing, and he was replacing the boiler. And before I went out, so I left him with my spouse in the house, I said, don't touch that, right? Do not touch that wiring. I said, right, you've got the 4-core, comes out the other end at the boiler. You do that bit. Do not touch this wiring. Okay. I came back. Imagine my surprise. I come back and the guy has it on this floor. He has this thing, this whole board, which I made. This whole board has got this and some wiring behind it. He took the whole thing and he laid it on the floor and all the little bits of wire and stuff, because there's a special way you have to wire it. All the little bits of wires and stuff, and there's a little loop wire. All that stuff was laid out in pieces. And I came up to him and I said, what are you doing? You know, as in, what the fuck are you doing? I said not to touch that. And he said, this isn't right, this. He said, he's on the phone when he does this, you know, he's on the phone. I said, well, never mind, it's not right. I said, I tried to wire it according to instructions. It sort of worked, but was just as bad as every other thermostat. Then I figured out how, the principle of how it worked, and I put a little loop in that was necessary to make it work. And it worked. Because it's something to do with needing 4-core and needing this little extra loop. Anyway, he's got all the stuff laid out. He's on the phone to a Sparky friend of his. He's been on the phone for a while, apparently, like we're talking 45 minutes, because he can't figure this out. I said, you took photographs, didn't you? He said, oh, I'm on the phone. I said, no, mate. You took photograph of this before you put it on the floor and dismantled it. This is my work, this. You've undone. He said, I've been at this for over an hour, you know. I said, yeah, but I told you not to. I said, I specifically told you not to take that apart. I said, you haven't taken a photograph, have you? He said, well, you know, this is all wrong. This. I said, you're saying it again. I said, I got it to work, right? I carefully thought about it. I've got training in electronics and in electrical engineering, among other things. I said, I made it work because I figured out from first principles how it's meant to work. The instructions are translated from German or something. I said, okay, so when will it be back together? He said, well, you know, this isn't right. And he just went on about it wasn't right. I got sick of hearing it. I get sick of hearing tradesmen say, ooh, a cowboy did this. You know what? I did it. And if you want to make a criticism about it, you'll have to do better. And what he did was, he did it however he did it, with advice from his sparky mate. He put it up, and now we get to jump up and down every time the heating's wrong, because this no longer measures properly how the temperature is. It's to do with having a ground reference point. There's got to be a reference voltage in it. And if there's not a reference voltage, this voltage floats up and down. This means then that it can't keep track of where the temperature has moved to from where it is. And thus the temperature keeps floating up and keeps floating down. And that bimetallic switch just isn't read properly. So the whole thing was kiboshed. And it never ever got fixed. And so we've got this shit Wi-Fi thing instead, which is just as bad. This is the only thermostat I've ever had work properly, and I wired it. And all it took was a little loop of wire going from one point to another to make sure the reference voltage was measured by this device. Tradesmen in Britain really need to pull their fucking socks up. A lot of them are just shit. Take care. Good luck.